everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you a Altoids 10 Spirit art doll. I got this idea from the magazine Cloth, Paper, Scissors. It was an article from a long time ago that I read about making these art dolls with a little box in the back that you could put things in, and I don't know, things that were meaningful to you. I did this today on the Art Joy Sharing live stream show. We were doing assemblage. Peg made a really cool assemblage as well, so you might want to pop over there to the Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel and watch the recording. Or she probably, I would guess, will make a speed video for her regular channel as well. I don't know. She probably will. So, like I said, I wanted to make an art doll, and I started with an Altoids tin. I punched a couple holes in the top and put a wire through it and tightened it underneath so that it would have something to hang from. And then I'm going to assemble my doll onto the lid of the box, gluing things only to the lid so that it can be opened from the back and you could put something inside of it and close it again. So the first thing I'm doing is making a molded face using some quick cure clay. This you can buy from Ranger, and you should wear gloves when you're working with it because it seems to have some fibers that get into your skin and make your skin kind of sore. So I put on my gloves, and then once you've molded it, you can mold it by hand. In this case, I used a silicone face mold, pressed it down in there real good, and then I used my heat tool, and you just start heating it on one side, and you can see the chemical process go across as it's curing from the heat. It turns a little bit lighter and goes all the way across, and then it stays hot for quite a while. So I set it aside up there on my glass mat. I apologize for the angle of the camera. This first portion of it was taken with my phone during the live stream, and I didn't have a chance to set up my screen that shows me what I'm filming looks like. I needed to tweak it and I didn't have time, so I just put it up there. So it's not exactly lined up. It should have been a little bit better, but that's neither here or there. So I have some wooden pieces that I'm going to use to assemble my doll. I saved this wooden spoon from an ice cream store in Joseph, Oregon, near Wallowa Lake. I went up there several years ago, and I was impressed that they used a wooden spoon for their serving. I thought that was very environmentally friendly, and I thought I could probably use this. So I saved it, and I've had it all this time. I thought it would be perfect to put the head of the doll on the spoon, and then I would have a body. So I first glued that down to my Altoids tin. I'm going to glue everything only to the lid so that it can open. And what I'm using is 3D matte gel, but I know that I don't have time to wait for it to dry. I need to continue working because I'm doing this on a live stream. And so I'm also using hot glue. So the hot glue temporarily holds the matte gel in place until it can completely dry and become, good and permanent. I wanted kind of like a halo around the face to make it have more presence. And so I used a wooden round flat piece for that, and I put that on by filling up the scoop part of the spoon with matte gel. And eventually that will dry and it will all be like real flat and nice. I also gessoed my clay piece. I also gessoed the box, but I didn't show you that. Just the lid of the box to get rid of the red. If you really want to change the color of your box, you should do it with spray paint outside before you start your project. But of course, I was planning, 30 minutes before the show, and so I did not spray paint my box. I didn't even think of it until I was, already doing it. I thought, oh, that would have been smart, just spray paint the whole box outside. Probably would have been good. So then I was looking for a wooden piece. I thought I was going to use the oval piece that I had, and it just wasn't right. And so I had this, I don't even know where I got it, but it was a little wooden birdhouse kit. And I opened it up and I found this birdhouse shaped piece of wood, and upside down it worked really well to start the body. So I put on the same old dictionary paper as I did on the halo part. It's like very aged paper, so it's got that kind of golden patina look. And I glued that down on top of the stick. So now kind of my shoulders widening out to hips are built on the doll. Then the next thing, I got out some handmade papers that I've had forever, probably 20 years. I don't even know. Some of them I made myself. Some of them were purchased, but it used to be a big popular thing back in card making days to use handmade paper. And it was expensive. It was fun to make, but I had a ton of it that I just hoarded. You know how that is. And I've been cleaning up and organizing my studio in the last few months, and I found a box of these handmade papers. I decided to use them today to make the dress on my spirit dolls. So I started out with this purpley fiber one for the skirt. I put water on to tear it where I wanted the lines to tear, and I did add some on the edges so that it curves around and glues to the top of the lid on the sides. So it kind of has a bit of a curve to it. It's hard to tell in the video. Then I took these other ones. One of them had purple flowers embedded in it, and then the other one's kind of like a light blue periwinkle color. And I made little gusset shapes or pleat shapes with those and glued them on top to kind of give the idea that that it's a pleated skirt with like inserts inside the pleats. I could have been a lot more complex than that. I could have folded the paper and maybe that would have been better. But in a live stream situation, I'm just trying to get this thing done. And I didn't even get it all the way finished during the live stream. So that's just how it is. Then I took a little scrap of this periwinkle color and put it across the top and kind of squished it together to make a bodice for the dress. And then you can see just a little bit of the shoulders sticking up in the neck, where the neck of the spoon. I have this other yellowish, beautiful piece of paper, and I thought that would make that halo stand out even a little bit more. So I used the circle of the 3D matte gel just to give me direction for tearing. Remember, if you put water where you want it to tear, it tears a lot easier. And then I'm putting that on the back and squishing it down over the spoon on the back and really covering all that up and giving it even more of a little bit of glowy looking paper. Then I gessoed my hands. I have these little wooden hands that are like laser cut out of wood, and my little face piece. And then I had these heart-shaped layered pieces that a friend of mine, Vicki Brown, made and sent at Christmas time, and I wanted to use one of those in the center part of my dress. I couldn't pick out which one. There was purple, there was pink, and I ended up with orange. So I picked the orange one, I glued it down, and that kind of starts building out my spirit part of the doll, you know, the heart. And it's got a little dangly on it, cute little heart layered pieces with scraps. And then I also found a twig outside that I'm going to glue on. So that's what my hands are going to attach to. Before I did that, I painted the face using acrylic paints. I used some buff. I used a little bit of pink, light pink, lavender, and blue, and kind of, you know, put the shadows where they should be so that the face looks a little bit more dimensional. I mean, obviously it is dimensional. It's made in a mold. It sticks out like a face, but it just looked flat. So I added all the colors to it so that I could make it more interesting. Pink cheeks, pink lips, you know, that type of stuff. And those are all just acrylic paints, tube acrylic paints that I'm using. Blending in with a brush. Just making it more interesting. And then when that's all done, I'm going to glue it onto the top of the halo piece and use the 3D matte gel to do that, filling up the back of it and squishing it down on there. If I ever decide to be done with painting it, took me a while, didn't it? Especially because this is sped up, so you can tell how long it actually took. So there's the face. Buttering the back of that with the 3D matte gel and sticking it on. I kind of have some different, I have some regular matte gel that I've used to do the decoupage when I'm gluing glue paper onto the wood. I've got the matte gel and the 3D, which is like a heavy gel for gluing things, and then I've got hot glue, and then I also have a quick dry tacky glue. So I've got different things gluing at different times. I mean, you could probably do all of it with one glue, but the thing about hot glue is that it will pop apart. You know, it doesn't always stay together. So the combination of the heavy gel and the hot glue holding it temporarily until it dries is a really good combination. But applying the matte gel with a spatula isn't as easy to apply in a small amount. So that's when I bring in the tacky glue. So these are some sort of wood shavings, curls of wood. Someone sent them to me. I'm not sure what they're actually for. I don't know if it's a garden product. It kind of looks like a garden product, but I don't know. Anyway, it makes good hair. So I use the matte gel. I kind of spatula it on there and then press the wood curls into it, and occasionally add a little bit of hot glue if I think something's going to come up. But worked really well. I am going to give this doll a couple coats of sealer, spray sealer, which I think will make that wood a little bit more sturdy. I noticed that I could break it. It was brittle a little bit. I could tear it and break it. So I think that giving it a couple good coats of lacquer with some spray will help it be a little bit more sturdy. So then I'm finishing up painting my hands a little bit with the light pink and the buff colors. And then I have this piece of sari silk that's a lavender color. And I'm tying that onto my stick, which I glued right under the chin across as if it was your shoulder line. And I've got little knots tied onto the string, and then I glued the hands flat onto it's sari silk, torn sari silk ribbon. So now she has some hands. Can't see that her feet because they're under the dress. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. There was some, in the same package of those little hands, there was some high heels, some little laser cut high heels, and I considered using them, but I thought that it would just be, I don't know, too fussy. I could attach them to the bottom of the tin with the same sari silk and let them hang down like the hands do. Maybe I will. I thought this was done, but you never know. I might add a few more things to it. So this is where the live stream ended, and I was not complete with my doll. So the rest of this is decorating, mostly decorating, I guess. I made a little wrist cuff on one side of the hand with some yarn that I wrapped around and then glued down the back. And I needed something right under the chin. There was like a little area right there where I could see the stick, and I didn't like the way it looked. So I took a couple paper flowers, layered them together, and then put a sequin and then a half pearl and made like a little flower assembly there right there under the chin. Um, I'm adding some flower shaped sequins to the wristband and a little sequin and a seed pearl to make a little ring. On the other side, I glued some sequins as well to make another wrist cuff across, orange ones. So I've got purple and orange basically, and yellow are the main colors with this light periwinkle blue, which could be taken as a blue or a purple, but because I had it, since orange is the complementary color to the purple, I mean to the blue, if it is blue, it just all kind of worked together. So I had this, it's like a pressed paper die cut of a butterfly, and I thought it would be cool to make butterfly wings on the back of my spirit doll. I started by painting the back of the butterfly black with the idea that it was going to go down into the creases and have kind of like a shadow. Well, it went over to the back side of it. So then when I went to paint my orange on the other side is like an iridescent paint. It's kind of it's translucent. And so then, of course, I couldn't paint over it because I had black, so then I had to put some white. Then I had to put more orange in it. I mean, this whole thing. This is sped up 8 times fast, but you can see that I fussed with these wings for quite some time. They also have some antenna that were attached, but I just popped them off because it's like it's paper that's been pressed together, so it's kind of like um, like a packaging board or something, but it's flimsier than that. I wish it was actually a little bit more sturdy. But then one more coat, I put the orange at the top and I added a little bit of pink because I had added a little bit of pink to the orange heart to divide it up and make it more dimensional. It didn't have pink on it originally, but I kind of tucked some pink around underneath and around the smaller heart on that little assemblage that Vicki made. So then once I was happy with the fronts, I went back and I just used a sponge dauber to do the backs. And I also colored those little antenna pieces black. And I'm going to put those up in the hair at the top, tuck them in with a little bit of hot glue. And then I cut the butterfly in half and I'm gluing the wings on the back of the Altoids tin. It can still open because nothing is gluing it shut. So I started out with the matte gel and I put a dot of hot glue on there to keep them in place. I was messing around with it so much. They kept moving. They wouldn't stay stuck down. So I went and got some self-adhesive black vinyl that I have in a package. Oh, I put some lace across the bottom of the skirt just to make it a little bit more fancy. You can see they keep coming off. So I got this piece of self-adhesive vinyl, cut it to the right size, and then I stuck that down over the whole back, and that helped those wings stay stuck down while they're still drying, and also helped cover the back of the tin because you could see, all the writing on there. And so, I mean, nobody will ever see that unless you take it off the wall and open it. But I just wanted to cover it. So that served two purposes. So then the last part, I'm just fussing. I'm adding some highlighting on the nose and the tops of the eyelids to give it more dimension, and on the little bottom of the chin there. Still fussing with the hands a little bit. My sequins. And then I decided that I needed shadows. So I'm using a water-soluble pen, brush pen from Pentel. It's called the Pentel Color Brush. It's kind of a gray taupe color. And I'm adding in my shadows around the hearts, in the face, around the halo, just different places where I think it's necessary. And then I'm blending that out using water with my water brush. I went down the pleats and added a shadow on either side of the pleats, you know, just around to give it a little bit more dimension. Still making sure those butterfly wings are stuck because they were wiggly. I put a stick-on gem in the middle of her forehead for her third eye. Still adding some more white. Just really trying to get the face to be dimensional. And then the last thing I did was to just add mica glitter all over the face, the hair, the halo, the heart, the hands, down the sides of the dress and down the front panel of the dress. And this is a Wink of Stella brush pen. It has very fine mica glitter in a clear suspended liquid, and it adds shimmer without being like, oh, look, it's glitter in your face. So that was the last thing I did. I hope you enjoyed this. Please remember to give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below, and of course subscribe. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.